Excellent.
It's still a little bit low, but better than before.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can hear, right?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Excellent. All right. So let me just fix this.
But you still speaking like you were inside of a box.
Hmm. I think that's as good as going to get. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so today the topic is it's a very interesting one because through the years at PESC, we've discussed this topic many times before, and it's not it's not a new thing to discuss, but it's to me it felt really interesting because even though the material is the same, it always provides us a different perspective. We use the same base material, but every time a new presenter comes to talk to us, this person researches in different places. So for me, it was a great opportunity to really dive into this and to gain my own perspective. So the topic is pride, and without getting um, into much details about what is and what isn't pride, because I remember through the years we have discussed the difference between the good pride and the bad pride, how pride can be detrimental to you if used on the wrong, not used in the wrong context, but depending on the pride you use. It's what some authors call a light pride or a dark pride, a good pride or a half pride. And pride can be, generally, it can be something negative if you use in exaggeration, if there is an exaggeration of that. And the exaggeration of it means that the individual is exacerbating his or her own self value, his qualities from his perspective of put in a way to the exaggeration, which leaves that person to have like some sort of disturbed image of him or herself. And some of the results that will come with it is, for example, selfishness. It will lead to the person not really taking care or looking after other people. It will lead to that person thinking of herself smarter than he or she really is. And sometimes you see people, especially in workplaces, taking on too much on themselves because, yes, I can do this, I can do that. And they're not actually able to keep up with their promises. It comes with a good intention, the intention of actually delivering that. Because a person does believe that they are capable, they're smart, and they have all those abilities. And sometimes you might have heard of, or you might have read of someone that thinks is strong enough and ends up getting in trouble because in reality it's just an inflated, disturbed self-image. And that's what some people call the bad pride or the dark pride. Um, an interesting concept that I came across is that when this happens, it's because there is the sickening, and I'm sorry, Yvonne and Colleen, you can actually help me here with English, and everybody can help me here with the English as well. What I'm trying to say is adoecimento, the sickening, the process of getting ill, the process of acquiring the disease of pride. So it's when pride is not at ease, it's not in balance. And it was really interesting because the analogy that came to light is we always talk about the light in detriment of the darkness, the good instead of the bad, without actually looking for the balance of things. So when we think about someone that we say that person is full of him of herself, immediately our thought is to either judge that person, or in our heads, in our minds, we think we have already a solution on how to make that situation of that or that person better. But say, for example, you have yourself, I don't know, you have a headache or you have sore eyes, and you go and see the doctor. They're not going to tell you to cut off your eyes or to cut off your head and to replace with something better. They're actually going to help you cure that disease that you're presenting, that imbalance. So the treatment is to find the balance, to bring you back to harmonious state. So, sorry, I'm actually, that's better. So, for me, the key element here is when we see what we call what's being called the disease or the illness of pride is not so much in replacing that with what some authors and even Hamed calls the humility, because pride and humility not necessarily are one opposite to the other. They can be completely different things. So when you say that person is very proud of herself in the negative sense, and that person needs more humility, what you're saying is pretty much that analogy of going to the doctor and the doctor saying, your head is pretty messed up. You've got a headache. So what we're going to do is give you a new head, one that is not so compromised, instead of finding what is actually not serving you in this moment so we can bring harmony back to it. Hamed, in the book The Pains of the Souls, he starts not the conversation, because for those that are familiar with that book of Hamed, the conversation he presents in two fronts. So the second front of the conversation of the topic, he starts telling us about um, the compulsion to control someone else's life comes is a result of pride. And when I was reading that, it came to me that not only that, but a little bit further, the compulsion to try to control how other people feel about us. So the compulsion to control someone else's feeling, that comes from the lack of pride. And what a lot of people, it's hard to find this. Even when I was doing my research, I could find very little uh, um, points of views that went on this direction. And I don't know those of you that had the opportunity to read about this topic from the book of Hamed before. But regardless, if you have or if you haven't, I actually would like to invite all of us, instead of just sitting here and listening to me talking about it, for actually, if you feel like it's a good time for a discussion about it. Because to me, pride, and I will say here, let's not think about the good pride or the bad pride, the dark pride or the light pride. The pride itself, which is the satisfaction and the knowledge of one's qualities and capabilities and essence. And the good and the bad distinction comes from the way one puts and views those qualities. So, pride itself is an important element of ourselves, our being. So, the lack of pride is actually what I believe to be the imbalance in the self, in the being. Because Hamed also says that the good master is not the one that simply guides people and tells people what to do. The good master is the one that encourages people to um, to be their own guides, to be their own masters. And to me, that means that is encouraging of our ability to know ourselves, to know our abilities, to know our limits, to know our capabilities, to actually know our own values. Um, when we think about guides, it's usually that figure, that person that knows the way, right? That person that perhaps has been there before, knows the challenges, knows the shortcuts, know where there is danger ahead and where it is safe to go. And when I was preparing for today, especially this bit that talks about the guide, it came to my mind years ago when my husband and I we went to Bonito in Brazil, and we hired a guide, like a tour to take us to some places. And in one of the places we went to, there was another guide, and we went down. I don't remember the name of the river, but we went down a river on a little boat. And at some stage on the boat, he told us, "Oh, it's safe to go in your life jacket and just go floating down the river, and we'll meet you at the end point." And so we did. And there was a young family floating with us. And at some stage, myself and Daniel, we were close to the guide. Some stage, he nodded us on the arm and said, "Look, look, there is a crocodile on the river." And we're like, "Oh, oh." And he said, "Oh, no, don't worry, don't worry. It's just a little one." Okay. So we kept floating. And I remember I jumped back on the boat, and then he said, "Oh, no, the guy said it's good." But as we approached the end, this guy actually said to us, "Oh, remember when I told you the crocodile back there?" And I said, don't worry, it's just a little crocodile." The mother, the bigger crocodile, was just around the corner. And I didn't want to tell you guys, not to scare the younger family, so everybody would panic. It's funny today when I think about it, but at the time, when the guide said that, there was obviously that feeling of anger, of disappointment, of betrayal, uncertainty, kind of blaming him. But reflecting on this many years later, I realized that none of these feelings had to do with the God himself, but it had to do with our, myself and Daniel's, our own positioning of ourselves, because we didn't know our guide. We didn't know his knowledge. We didn't know his values. We didn't know his limits. So we let ourselves be guided by a complete stranger, not knowing if he would put us. He said it was safe, but in the end, he admitted that there was a little bit of danger ahead. So we're not going to discuss here his morals or whatever. But what I'm discussing, what I'm bringing to you is my positioning on that situation. That we didn't actually get to know that one guiding us. And that one that was guiding us did so the way he so wanted to, with our full consent, but we didn't know what we were consenting to. Um, Let me just look here in my notes. And this is a part that for me, pride is such an important part of us, because here's the element of knowing our guide. We actually learn, and I know this for a fact, from speaking to friends, from working with different people, even from our time together at PESC, way before pandemic. But we are taught and we are encouraged to live in communion, right? To make our prayers, to present and have and feel gratitude, to be present in the moment. But in reality, if you think of it, if you really think of it, how often are those moments that you wake up in the morning and your priority is that element of communion? And I'm not talking here about because we all have our busy tasks, right? We gotta get up and have breakfast and go for our morning run and get the kids ready to school and not be late for the public transport and meet such and such clients. We all have that. And we know that communion, the prayer, the be present, the gratitude is important. But the preparation for the day ahead, and I'm not going to talk about why this is important. It's important because we all know the importance. For each of us has a point in life, an important role to play in life. But when you prepare yourself for the communion, and I'm not talking about the communion with God and with your guardian angel and with the elements and the gratitude, but the communion to the self, that moment to simply be with you and be with you, acknowledging whoever you are and whatever you are, and acknowledging and feeling whatever it is that you're feeling in that moment. And the communion of acknowledging and bringing your qualities as well as the elements that we might not consider qualities, the elements that we believe we need to work on, is a communion of actually be present for you. That type of communion is the one that I ask myself, how often do we actually do that? As soon as we wake up, getting ourselves ready for the challenges and for the blessings of the day, and when we go to bed, getting ready for the blessings and the challenges of the night, and throughout the day, as we're facing all of these things. Um, I actually wanted to bring you guys this example because it's actually very recent. I've been working with a person, and he says to me that one of the elements in his life that is very critical for him is the element of forgetfulness. He forgets things, and as soon since he was very little, he remembers being told by his parents, by his family, by his friends, by his teachers, "Oh, you're forgetting. Oh, you're not remember. Oh, you're daydreaming. Oh, come back from here, from there you are. Come back to earth. You need to be grounded." So today, as an even so, when as an adult, he was telling me that he remembers friends from work, kind of not really making joke, but making comments that is like, yeah, I know the person was joking, but you can see how the person feels, the sort of sadness and resentment that comes with the, the, the repetition of that situation, even in adulthood. And now, as an adult, he actually forgets. He was telling me that he went yesterday uh, to go out in the car. And then when he got to the car, he forgot the car keys. And he was like, Clara, that was what I was going to do. I was going to drive my car. And I forgot to pick up the keys. And because of that, erupted a massive argument with his wife. And the thing got bigger and bigger. What is the point I'm trying to do to make here? From very early age, this man, now on his 50s, he heard about his essence, but he heard about his essence in a negative, not constructive way. That he was a forgetful boy, that he was, I do not know how to do the translation of that in English. If someone knows, please do tell me. Might be something from the South because he's from the South. A boy sonso. What's a boy sonso in English, guys? It's, I've got no idea, but if I can try to bring to our uh, um, um, language here in English, it's someone that is not paying attention to the present reality and is not doing what it's supposed to do. Don't know if the
A
translation.
daydreamer.
Mm,
Ah,
could it be? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know what a boy sonsu is because my family used to use this term quite often. I heard it, not from me, but I heard it. So I know what it's about. A boy sonsu is, but I've never heard in English. So I think it could be some sort of daydreamer. It could be someone that is not grounded, someone that it's not keeping up with things that is asked of that person.
Yeah. Not this is not what sonsu means for me. Sonsu means a person who a person who doesn't look like a a bad person, is a person that has this passive and quiet but does bad things behind the scenes. That's
Mm,
sonsu.
mm.
não do
Yeah,
assim, faz coisa
sonsu.
errada.
Yeah.
In the sense that he's describing, and which is what I would like to convey here, is someone disconnected from the ground, from material, from physicality, someone that, as Jackson says, is daydreaming. So from very early age, from being very young, as far as he can remember, he remembers hearing those things and how he felt diminished, how he felt not belonging when he heard such things, even though the people that told him had good interests in heart, such as teachers, such as his father, such as his mom and uncles, and so on and so forth. But the point and the reality is that that little boy who is now an adult got his essence denied, his essence as being presented to him as something bad. To daydream is something bad. To not be present where where I want you to be is bad. To be whatever you are, doing whatever it is that your mind is doing is bad. And the interesting thing is that he was always paying attention. So the teacher would tell him something and would catch him daydreaming. And when the time came to present the knowledge of the teacher had explained, he would. So it's not that he wasn't present for the surroundings, but he was experiencing life in ways that people could not understand. And because they could not understand, he was tagged as forgetful, as a boy that does not pay attention. So his quality, which probably was, and that's my understanding, his quality, which was the ability to connect to himself and the ability to connect to his surroundings in a different way that people consider to be acceptable, were taken away from him, were denied to him, were said, this is not acceptable, this is not good, therefore we're going to call you names. And how often do we see examples of that, or do we actually do that ourselves? Especially for us that live with young children, or have lived with young children, or have some sort of relationship with young
Clara,
children. Yep,
Não fala, gente.
just take slightly your phone out of the socket, just slightly.
of the socket,
Yeah, the one you were talking. Yeah, slightly.
like
See
this,
yeah, a little bit more.
a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. Keep talking now. Talk now. Talk.
Say something.
Say something.
Hello?
Hello.
Congelou.
Scroll frozen.
Gente.
Frozen. Okay, what happened with her is that she has three things, and the phone inside is only for two. That's why it's in short circuit. Okay, keep going. Sorry,
I can hear you guys now. Can
it's
you hear me?
better now. It's a little bit better.
Okay. So how often, even if we don't have close relationships with children, we were children once, all of us. And I'm sure I am absolutely sure that we can all, maybe not remember, but I mean, I am absolutely sure that we all have examples in our lives where we were led to, forced to feed ourselves into someone else's expectations that hurt our own essence, our own way of being. And through life, we learned that in order to fit in to society, to friends, to the family, we had to fit into certain labels, into certain socket pockets. And that's well, all well and good, as long as it does not hurt who we are learning to be, who we are trying to be. Because when we do that, and then you ask me, okay, so what does it have to do with pride? It has everything to do with pride. Because when we hurt one of those elements, our essence, our way of, our prisma is hurt, is denied, is taken away from us. How so are we able to know our own abilities and our own qualities? And if we don't know those abilities, those qualities, those capabilities, our own values, how are we able to have self love? And a person without self love, then that is a person that is in that danger zone, that person that presents the dark pride or the bad pride. That is the exaggeration, the insufflation, because a person is in a constant battle to prove him or herself worthy of belonging to certain groups and to certain realities. That person does not love him or herself because was never able to, was never allowed to explore what he or herself is. And sometimes we hear saying, we meet someone and then go, oh, that person is very proud, is very full of him or herself, as if it was a bad thing, right? And I dare to say, with all respect, don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone. Good if that person is full of him or herself. Good. Better than that person is empty of her or himself and full of other people. What good does it do to anyone to be full of others people's limitations, expectations, beliefs, when they do not align to who you are and who you want to be? Um, usually, usually, we hear a lot a person saying something along the lines, I live too much in the past. I'm always thinking about the past, and that's causing me a little bit of trouble. Or you hear someone thinking, oh, I'm always thinking about the future. I'm always worrying about the future, and then I cannot sleep, and then I have insomnia, and then I have anxiety, and so on and so forth. When you hear those things, you immediately think that person has a massive, massive disease. That person is not at ease at all. That person is out of alignment, out of balance, because it's living in two different places. And neither of those places that person can control. We cannot control the past. We cannot control the present. We can heal the past and we can work towards, sorry, not the present, the future. We can heal the past and we can work towards the future. And we only do those things here, now, when we are present, when we live in the present with all that we are. And in order to live here with all that we are, we need to know what we are and how we are and what we are made out of. My 5 years 5 years old daughter Gigi, she asked me a very interesting question. Not only once, she asked me this question multiple times. She comes to me and says, "Mommy, when is tomorrow?" And really, it it seems like a silly question, but when is actually tomorrow? Philosophers will rumble a bit, not rumble, sorry, not in a disrespectful way, but philosophers will philosophize or talk or have conversations about it, discussions about it for days and days. For me, tomorrow is now. Because if you say, for example, oh yeah, but Clara, Wednesday is tomorrow. Therefore, tomorrow is Wednesday. Okay, but when Wednesday comes, no longer is tomorrow, will be today. Therefore, yesterday is now. So to live either in the past or in the future is to be constantly asking yourself, when is that going to be? Going to, which means it isn't. When am I going to be a person that is centered, that has either the good pride or the person that has left a little bit of my side, the bad pride? And if you keep asking yourself, when is the tomorrow going? It's not going to. Because one thing is for certain, our brain, our internal uh, um, bússola, compass, does not understand the concept of time. It's a creation of ours, right? The mind doesn't accept, doesn't acknowledge, doesn't recognize time as our conscious mind does. So for the mind, tomorrow is always tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It's never going to be here, to be now. So if you ask yourself in this mix of questions, actually, when read the headlines for the topic of tonight, it said focus on how humility can help you grow. And when I read that, immediately the thought that came into my mind was that humility is a product of the growth. Humility put in terms of being the opposite of pride. So my understanding was the headline of today's topic was asking me to focus how the opposite of pride, therefore the not pride, would help us grow. What I'm presenting here, unfortunately, is a different. It's the opposite. How pride is good, because humility uh, uh, and growth are not distant things that can be separated, like you have a plate of meat and vegetables and you separate, here's a meat, here's a vegetable. In order to have your dinner, you need a combination of both. Otherwise, it's not a complete meal for your body. So in order to grow, you need humility. And in order to be humble, you need to grow. You don't just grow, okay, so now I am humble. Therefore, I'm going to start growing. And you also don't go, okay, now I've grown. Therefore, I'm going to start being humble. They all walk together. The same way that, okay, I am proud of myself, of who I am. And interesting things, guys, if you do not agree with that, you don't have to. But please, just for a second, see if you can see this topic through my prism. You absolutely don't have to agree with me, but allow yourself just for a moment to see the way I see this. Pride is also a side of growth. Same as humility is a side of growth. Same as growth is a side of humility and of pride and of gratitude and of love. It's like having a diamond, all those different sides. It just depends on where you look to, from what perspective you're looking at. Um, so when you ask yourself, what comes first, pride or humility or growth? It doesn't really matter, does it? When you have a person that is in pain, that is being hurt so many years, you don't come and ask a person, hold on, but are you being humble? Or do you have enough pride? You help that person to understand what is lacking. And a person that is got pride, a proud person, is a person that actually contributes to the growth of society and to humanity much more than a person that sees pride and humility as two distinct things. And how is that? Because when you know your abilities, your values, your characteristics well enough to the point that you value them, and you value them enough to be proud of who you are, you don't see competition around you. There is no point, there is no need. It doesn't exist. The idea of, I need to be better than that person. That notion that pride leads you to be selfish, it doesn't exist when you in that healthy state. Oh, there is a cat. In that healthy state, when you are in that healthy state, you acknowledge that whoever you are, you have enough, not only for you, but for the other person as well. Because you're able to see that other people are as much valuable than as you are. And you can see how people are hurting sometimes. And you know that in your bag of yourself, you're full of yourself, right? Remember, I said, oh, that person is full of him or herself, and we think that's good. You're full of yourself. So when you look at your bag and that bag has your name, this is the bag called Clara. And I go and look in that bag and I see Clara, it's a good listener. And I know there's a person that needs to talk about problems. And listening to that person, to me, will never get to the point that I'm stuffed. Because the more I am full of myself, the more I have to offer to other people. I can only see people as competition. I can only see myself as better than other people when I see that they're taking from me. I am being depleted. My bag is getting lower and lower, emptier and emptier. And that only happens when there is not enough self-love. And we know that self-love comes from a place that it doesn't get empty. You can just give and give and give because it's self-replenishable, if that's good English. You will keep coming back to it to make it fuller again. Um, I actually wanted to give you guys a quick roadmap that, again, you don't have to agree with me. And please disagree with me. A little roadmap, two different ones. So think about someone, and that person here from very young age You're very timid. You're very shy. Therefore, you don't talk very much. And because that person doesn't talk very much, that person has problems expressing her or himself. And because that person has problems expressing him or herself, people tend to do not understand what this person is saying. And when the people don't understand, as a consequence, the relationships this person forms, they're not very solid. And because those relationships are not very solid, I'm looking down because I'm reading my own notes. Because those relationships are not very solid, that person tends to always feel lonely. With loneliness comes a feeling of not being loved. And with that comes that questioning of what's wrong with me? Why am I always lonely? Why am I not loved? And with that comes that feeling of inadequacy. I don't fit in here. I don't belong there. They don't want me here. They don't want me there. The feeling of not belonging. And we all want to belong, right? There is an innate characteristic of human beings. We live in society. We want to be in society. It's part of us. So when that person feels that feeling of not belonging, that essence of that person is already hurt somewhat. So that person wants to belong. So in order to belong, that person will do everything that he or she can to please other people so she or he can fit in. So they will feel always trying to. But with that trying to comes a feeling of o peixe fora d'água. I'm out of my territory. I'm out of my essence. I'm out of balance. And when you feel that, automatically you think that people around you are not being pleased by who you are. So you think, I'm going to try something different because whatever I'm doing wrong. People are still not pleased with me. So that person will question his or her own way and journey and path. Are my choices good? Am I a good person? There is that feeling of not acceptance. I'm not accepting myself at this point, am I? So, in order to accept myself and in order to fit in, what I'll do, I use someone else's weaknesses against them. So, you are stupid, you're lazy, you're forgetful, but I am better than you. I can do all these things that you cannot. So that person will put him or herself in a position of superiority. And then you're going to look and say, that person is full of him or herself. Look, that proud person. When in reality, that person is hurt from the get-go, from way, way back there. And look how this is so far away from humility and from pride as well. There is no humility in that person, and there is no pride either. There's only emptiness. And that person doesn't feel love. But think of the other roadmap now, a different one. A person, for example, that hears from young age, ooh, I like the way, and I thought about this when I was thinking about how would I speak to my daughter. I like the way that how you express yourself in that situation. It made me feel really, I don't know, happy. It made me feel relieved. It made me feel content. It made me feel appreciation, whatever. And then that person that hears that will think, oh, look at all these nice feelings that that person, mommy or daddy or friends, whatever, had because I expressed myself. So let me go and explore other ways to, number one, express myself, and number two, to help people feel as good as they felt before. And then this person will think, what did that person notice on me? And what else can that person notice on me that will help them feel good? Notice on me. It's in me. So that person will go deep inside to explore his or her own essence, values, characteristics. And the feeling is, what in me can help other people to feel happy, released, content, whatever you want to call it, but feel good about yourself. So this person will actually start to experience and to explore the light and the dark as well. Expressing myself is good. Anger, I know how people react to anger. They will explore and experience how people react to anger. Thank you. So he's exploring both sides, not just one. He's exploring the balance. Remember, I was talking the dis ease, which is not to be at ease. So when you do that, you start to make choices. What better adequates within your reality? What about you is more suitable to your reality? And now your reality is not only at your own service, but at the service of other people as well. Because that person starts to experience self love. Not only that, but that person starts to experience the feeling of making others feel good, helping others through their challenges, through the tough moments. Only because that person is able to be proud of whoever they are. And there is no, as I said, there is no competition. There's always room for more. There's always room to help someone else. Or there is always room to recognize someone else's ability as well. So see now how pride and humility, they're both in their service for the greater good, for the better.
So,
Everybody.
so humbleness is a byproduct.
Is a what?
A byproduct
Yes.
is a consequence.
I believe it is. I believe it is.
Yeah. So to be humble, you need to be something else before.
Not to be something else before, but you need to experience other things that allow you to get to that point.
Yeah, to get into that state. So humbleness is a state of enjoying self-acceptance,
Yes.
self-contentment,
Yes.
which summing up, it's love, loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No needs to be knowledgeable, no needs to be, it's just, if you accept yourself, you have self-contentment, you are therefore potentially humble. Because usually humbleness is a state of not overvaluing what you are. Is that right? Because sometimes trying to overvalue, it's a part of your ego. So when we're talking about proud. Proud is a quite hard word to use because it has several different meanings and has a lot of semantics behind it, right? But every time you have pride connected with ego, then we're talking about the bad one. But the proud that means self-acceptance and contentment, self-contentment, which then leads to humbleness. That's probably the proud that we're talking about. Is all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just stealing a bit of the pot. Just bring a bit more of discussion and see if everybody understood the same way, or someone else have something to contribute.
Hmm. Nope. I think Jackson interrupted me sorry, not interrupted me. Jackson paused me in a very adequate time, because that was actually the end for me. That when we don't look at them, pride and humbleness, as competing two elements that cannot coexist in a harmonious space, then we are out of balance. Then we are on that space where dark and light are fighting, where good and evil are fighting, and you are in the middle of that, having to choose. But when you understand, when you see, and when you feel that pride, humility, self-love, gratitude, they're all part of one big thing, of the one same thing, then you can start to feel what humility really is. And I have to say, I don't know what humility really feels like. I don't know. And I also don't know what pride really feels like. Because those to me are such elements of your essence that in order for you to really, really know to their maximal potential, you have to be absolutely attuned with your essence. I have an idea, a very little idea. And that's what I'm exposing here today, that from my perspective, and I did not present to you guys Muhammad's perspective beginning to end, because I'll be doing a disservice, a complete disservice. Right? He already said it. He already wrote it. It's right there. Whoever really wants to see his point of view, please read his own words, which are way more explanatory and real than any presentation I could talk about presenting his point of view. But what I did was I took some of his, and I took some of John's, and I took some of Mark's, and I took some of Melissa's, and I saw what was good for me, from my perspective. And what I believe is that we always need to try to find a balance. And when we find that, we really start to feel and to experience what humility and pride and self-love really can do for our growth and for ourselves. And I think that's it, guys. I am a few minutes too late, as always. Questions? No? Just closing?
So it's correct to say that humbleness, it's something that you don't choose to be. You are.
You are. You are. Well put, Jackson. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We're closing. Alex, Jackson, Dai, we're closing. If no one has questions.
I may, if I may, for a short moment, I am grateful for your presentation, Clara. Thank you. Pride is an excellent topic. It is one that highlights our disconnection from the other. It highlights our perspective that is drawn into almost a dream-like state where we are considering ourselves to be separate from our brothers and our sisters. We are drawn into a dialogue, often with ourselves, that goes round and round, assessing and judging ourselves and others. It is dependent on comparison. And it is this that leads to the dis-ease of our heart space, of our mind space, of our bodies, of our spirit. Yes, yes. We are all drawn to it at times when we forget that we are codependent, that we are a community of spirits. And what has brought us to this moment is a collective energy by not one or two others, but thousands of others on our previous selves, on those that have supported us to get to this point, on those that have been with us, that have traveled with us, on those that have combated with us, those that have taught us lessons, whether we consider them negative or positive. But everything and everyone has contributed to where we are right now, including ourselves, but we are a part of that. We are not individuals. We are not, what is it? We are not an island unto ourselves.
Mhm.
And what has brought us to this point is a collective effort. And when we bring up our children, that is what we need to impress upon them, to impress upon our loved ones, that we are where we are, who we are, because of what you have contributed to my journey. And I thank you for what my mother has contributed to this journey, and I thank her. So for every accomplishment, we thank the universe that has conspired with us to bring us to this point. And in that, we are sitting already in humility because we acknowledge that we are one with everything. And in that, we love it all. So pride is this creation of the mind that has brought us to a point where we consider that we are separate and not an integral part of all that is. Yes, yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you.
If you don't have any more contributions or questions, we can go ahead, or if you have some, more than welcome to come and say it. Otherwise, Clara can finish the night with our prayer box and final prayer. Thank you.
Okay, I will start the prayer. So in the comfort of whatever place we are now, our homes, our works, the whereabouts, but in the comfort of where we are now, wherever we are now, allow yourselves to feel comfort in this place, in this moment. And as we allow ourselves, we can start to welcome into the now, right here, right now, our open minds and hearts. So whatever it is that we are still not having enough of, in order for our improvement, so that we can receive now. And now is every moment. So we know, and we start to know, and we allow ourselves to know that whatever it is that we don't have enough of yet for our improvement, we have been receiving and we will continue to receive on our journey. For we are beings in construction. There is no end. There is no limit to who we can be. Right now, we are who we are. So allow yourself to really and truly be grateful for this person, for this expression that you are. And as you do that, extend this feeling of allowance, of being, to those who are in need as much as we are, or perhaps even more than we are. And let's ask our Heavenly Father, our Creator, the force that every day we understand a bit more. Father, shower with your blessings all of those in need, all of those in need, whatever those needs are, Father. Shower with your blessings our Mother Earth, the air, the waters, the animals, the plants, every single consciousness on our beautiful Mother Earth. And in this moment, Father, that we have called pandemic, bless our Mother Earth with all the feelings, those elevated and those not so elevated. All those feelings that she has been experiencing. Bless our hearts as well, Father, so we can be of service every day, consciously or unconsciously. Bless our minds, our bodies. Bless those around us with health, with choices, with free will, with love, companionship, and understanding. Thank you, Father, for our family. In whatever shape or form our family is presented to us. Thank you for allowing us to be in communion. And Father, help us to really be of service to them as well, as we learn to be of service to us. Thank you for the opportunity, Father, that you have presented myself to be here, seeing faces that I haven't seen in a long time. Blessing this moment. And deliver us, Father, our daily bread, and that bread might be the bread for the mind, for the body and the soul. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Clarinha.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good
you,
night.
Clara.
Well, we hope to see you guys back to normal next week. Just please keep update on our Facebook and WhatsApp group. But looks like we are able to come back next week to our physical place. All right. Thank you. Have a good night, all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
See ya. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Keep
Thank
well.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey,
Thank you.
guys.